What's up, guys? You see who's on the screen with me. If you're not watching the video, you'll get to hear in just a second. It's my guy BJ back. What's up, bro?
What's happening, everybody? Got a little song for you I'd like to sing you. I'm not really going to sing.
I can't even. Well, I can't even hear what that is. Not really. You can hear it, but not really.
Classic Mace for you.
Oh, nice.
I remember when that album actually came out, I was pretty excited about it and listened to it a lot. And there was probably 4 songs on there I liked, and I probably played each song 2 million times, approximately.
By the way, we got to shout out your shirt there, your Respectfully Disagree shirt. For those of you that had paid attention, I was on Adrian's podcast. I guess it was a little over a month ago. As soon as I get mine, we'll get he and I will get together. And I'll rock his shirt for the podcast.
Heck yeah, man. You got to pick out what color you want. I'm going to guess you might just go with this one right here, because I'm telling you, the white with the red letters with the black mic, kind of dope, to be honest.
It looks sick.
He custom made me a Carolina one, white and baby blue.
I didn't realize that.
This one does, yeah. I mean, I hate to brag. I might have, been one of the OGs in the t-shirt game, getting them from him. So I think actually he removed that just because he didn't think it looked as good. I didn't talk to him about it or anything, but on the last one it was left off too. But yeah, I like it all. I mean, overall it's a cool logo, and obviously it's just fun. It's an open platform. You get to discuss ideas, and a lot of times the person who's on there has a differing idea than what he does, but it's just a conversation, and that's probably what we need more of in today's culture.
Absolutely. That was what I liked the most about it, is we didn't agree on everything that we were talking about, but at the end of it, it was like, hey man, thanks for coming on. I was like, man, thanks for having me. And I know if we were in person, we would adapt up and have been just like it was nothing. We were just having a discussion about sports, which is a great thing to do.
Yep, doesn't get much better than that. And he and you are two of the best at it. So I knew I was actually hoping that would come, and I'm glad it came organically and naturally, because I think that made it so much better in the long run. Both you guys do a great job with it, and it's fun to listen to content put out by the both of you.
I appreciate it, man. Speaking of shirts, I got to shout out 199. They sent me 4 shirts. This one, I got another one that I'll talk about at different times. I'm going to wear them on the podcast, and then you all have seen me wear 2 other ones, but I'll show the other shirts whenever I wear them. This is a nice Xavier shirt. Hop on their website, the number 19 word9.com. I get compliments on the Duncan Cardinals shorts that I wear all the time. They're a pair of white shorts. They got Louisville gear on there. They got IU gear on there. A lot of colleges, they don't have UK or Duke or North Carolina, but I feel like at some point they'll get them, because they just now are officially licensed by Louisville as of like, I don't know, maybe February or March. So they're pretty new to the Louisville game.
But it's a progress too. Hopefully they'll get some more teams in there. But man, that material looks nice. And I can attest to what you said about your shorts. I've never been anywhere that you've worn them, whether it's an open gym, a sporting event, just out to eat. Somebody didn't say something about them. And everybody always asks where you got them from and everything. I mean, those are nice shorts.
Yeah. So having BJ back, we had to throw it back. Those of you guys that have been listening to the show for a while, you know what we used to do. So we're bringing a couple of the things back. 2 of the things that we're bringing back for this episode are the power move and our beef. I'm gonna go first with the power move, because it's been a little bit. So I'm gonna do the first one. My power move goes to the NC State batter from the other day against Vanderbilt. I don't know if you saw this. So Vanderbilt and NC State were playing in the College World Series. Vanderbilt's pitcher, Jack Leiter, had a perfect game going in like the 4th or 5th inning. Throws a pitch to the NC State batter. The dude hits an absolute scud, just a bomb. Sits there and watches it, and then does one of the dopest bat flips I've ever seen. It ends up being the only run scored in the entire game, and NC State gives them a loss. But the bat flip was so sick. He just watched it, and he flipped the bat probably at least 20 feet in the air. Like, it wasn't just like one that he threw it, bat flipped it 20 feet in the air. And that
Yeah.
Jack Leiter guy's ranked as a top 5 prospect in the MLB draft. The guy, like, is insanely good.
Might have just boosted his stock. He might be up pushing 2 or 3 right now, huh?
Yeah,
Just
probably.
because of the bat flip, not because of the home run either.
No, no,
Well, I'll tell you what.
no, the pitcher is in the top 5 for
Oh,
prospects.
okay.
Yeah, so he hit it off of one of the best prospects, like, and that's even high school or anything. Like, he's a top 5 prospect. Like, I've seen him going anywhere from 1 to 3.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, for my power move, first of all, I love the power moves. I remember the original power move and how that whole thing came to light, and it was good times, man. Brings back a lot of fond memories. And surprisingly enough, to anybody who knows me, knows I'm not a big fan of baseball, right? But I'm going to stick with baseball. And we actually had a brief conversation about this last night. And just with the rule changes involved with MLB and the pat downs is what I call them, or the checkouts with the
Yeah.
pitchers. And surprisingly enough, my power move is going to go to these managers, especially Joe Girardi. Shout out to the Philadelphia Phillies. Might be a little bit of bias against your Washington Nationals, who, what was it, 4 times that he had Scherzer
He
out there getting
three
patted
times.
down? And yeah.
3
So shout
times.
out to the managers, power move for just letting them hang and just saying, check those boys out. And Scherzer was loving it. You could tell he was having a good time with it. I think he almost stripped down the last time and showed off the family jewels. But it's funny to me. I think with every change of rules like that, there's always like that knee jerk reaction. I don't watch baseball if I'm being 100% honest, but I definitely think this is going to be a phase. So you got to kind of enjoy it while the phase is here. You know what I mean?
Well, what's funny is that was my second beef, was Joe Girardi. Because it's like, look, I get
Specifically, Girardi.
no, yes, just specifically Joe Girardi. Because here's my thing. I understand if you're going to
Yeah.
call people out because there's definitely been a change. I mean, the biggest reason, I mean, I don't know how much you've looked into it, but the spin rate of the baseball has gone up immensely over the last couple of years. So they think that people are putting foreign substances on the baseballs. Trevor Bauer, the guy that just left from the Reds and went to the Dodgers, was the one that kind of made light of it. He said that Garrett Cole does it a lot. He's pointed out a couple pitchers that he thinks are using foreign substances. And if that is happening, then yes, that needs to be changed. So yesterday in the game, I understand, he thought that Max Scherzer was going too much to his hair. So they said check his
Right.
hair and see if there's anything in his hair. Okay, that's fine. They do it once. There's nothing there. Leave it alone. When he does it 2 and 3 times, and kind of a power move is Scherzer gave him the stare down after he got the third out, and then Girardi got thrown out of the game. I
Yeah,
don't know
for
if you
coming out there
saw
because
this.
he was like, bring it on. Like, you're supposed
So
to be the manager.
yeah, so like Scherzer, did you see the guy from the A's, by the way? Because the guy from the A's literally took his pants all the way off.
Yeah, ripped his whole belt out,
Yeah.
set it down. But that's my thing to your point with Scherzer is I think Scherzer was leaning into it because from what Girardi said, he obviously, you've played against Scherzer. Scherzer's he's going to be a Hall of Famer and one of the best in the game, even at the age that he's at.
Yeah.
But Girardi was like, never had he gone to his hair that much. And
Yeah.
what Scherzer addressed it after, and you could tell, like, I think people who do polygraph tests and things like that, when you see a change in a person's demeanor or tone when something gets brought up, I could clearly see when they were talking about the hair and, yada, 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 Scherzer completely changed his tune. With that being said, what ended up happening was it was probably just sweat. And it's, everybody's kind of in a sticky situation right here, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But it's just foreign territory for everybody. So I loved it, man. I had a good time with it. And Scherzer, even to me, the one thing when he threw his hat down and his glove down out in front of him, I thought, man, maybe something might be there. And we weren't watching it; we were playing. Hindsight being 2020. But I watched all the highlights of it last night when I got home after I watched the game. Finished watching the game, another great game too, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, it was.
But it was definitely some oddities on both sides there, and to me, that makes for the ultimate power move. No matter which side you're on. Man, it was funny to watch.
Speaking of the pitchers and stuff, we were talking about it last night. I had someone text me and tell me the Bats pitcher last night got thrown out of the game for having a foreign substance on him. So it's
That's what
not
you're
just a
telling me.
problem. It's not just a problem in the major leagues. It's happening in the minor leagues as well. And did you see how the Bats game ended last night?
No,
Walk off grand
hopefully with
slam,
fireworks.
bottom of the ninth. It's
Really?
yeah. I mean, that's what you go to a baseball game for. You get that excitement there at the end, and even if you're not a baseball fan, you see somebody hit a
Right.
grand slam to win the game. That's that's exciting to watch.
Walk off in general. I don't care if it's a grand slam or just a walk off. You're not going to see many of those in your lifetime. So every
Yeah,
time you do, and for a kid, that's going to create a memory he'll never forget. Might have just created the next Cal Ripken Jr.
never know. So
Maybe.
let's go to a beef. You want to go beef? You want to go first with your beef then, since you already took my other one?
Beef, I'm not going super hot. I'll be honest. Beef, I was trying to think of everything that's going on in today's world, and there's a million things that you could pick a beef for, right? But probably what I'll have to keep it simple is something that I'm most passionate about, something that I love, right? And that's elite level basketball. And that can be from kids all the way to adults, right? All I want to see is the best basketball played, respect the game. I want to see the best against the best. And unfortunately, what we're not going to get to do is see the best against the best in something that takes place one every 4 years. And I get there was other things that came into play, but with the Olympics this year and where their scheduling fell, all these teams, including the USA, which selfishly we look right at Team USA and see all the people who aren't playing. And
Yeah,
we'll get into this a little bit more, I know. But with that being said, you look at other teams too, like Giannis isn't playing. I know Ben Simmons is a hot topic right now. He's not playing. All these other guys, and it's in my personal opinion, the sad thing is they're intelligent for not playing because man, your body just physically can't take that type of abuse to play a shortened 72 game season, which had more games in a short period of time, to then go directly into the Olympics, to then go directly into a standard 82 game schedule next year for most of these guys. You know, some of these guys are playing in foreign tournaments and different leagues than the NBA, but it's not suited to have your best stars there. So am I glad that we're still getting to see it? Yes. Is there the old adage of an asterisk being next to it or a black dot next to it? Unfortunately, there's going to be, and that's today's day and age that we live in. There's going to be a million of those. But man, I would have loved to see the best against the best because I think right now is probably when the other teams are as close to the US as we've seen, besides that Spain team, 2012 Spain, 2016 Spain, even a little past prime. Argentina's in the mix there. But man, I would have loved to see some of these other countries even play. I'll watch games, Australia versus France. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I love that stuff. So disappointed we don't get to see it, but on the other side of that coin, at least still a little bit excited for it.
yeah. I mean, it was crazy hearing that Ben Simmons decided not to play. I heard that his fans got pissed because he passed again.
Especially when he had a wide open dunk there, huh?
Yeah. So my other beef actually involves a guy that's playing in the playoffs. Is actually playing on Team USA, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this before I even get into it because I know where this is gonna go because of where he went to college. But I have been on record saying that I think he's better than Donovan Mitchell. I said that before with how he was playing. Um, but my beef is with these analysts saying that Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant. Devin Booker's fantastic. Devin Booker is a bucket. It can score from anywhere on the court. But Devin Booker is not Kobe Bryant. Devin Booker, in my opinion, will never be Kobe Bryant. He's not near the defender that Kobe Bryant was. Um, I won't question his killer instinct because sometimes I kind of hate when people do that. There's certain things that maybe a team's killer instinct, but I never like questioning a one guy's killer instinct or one guy's dog in him. You know what I mean? Because he has to have some type of dog to be where he's at. He's not just getting there, especially at his size, just because he doesn't have anything in him. Um,
Right.
but I, Kobe, as much as I didn't really like him, it didn't matter. Kobe was, if you're looking at all the guys of all time, Kobe's up there for one of the guys that was just like one of the biggest, just dogs, like just would do anything to win.
Work ethic.
Yeah. And like I'm saying, I'm not trying to disrespect Devin Booker because Devin Booker's a great player. I mean, the dude scored 70 in a game. Granted, it was a loss, but dude scores 70 in a game. I mean, not many people can do that, ever have
No.
done that. So, I mean, the dude can play, and I think the kid's gonna have a great career. But stop comparing him to Kobe Bryant. He's not Kobe Bryant.
So this is where I'll actually play the heel involved with this, right? I posted, I think this might have been one of the things that you were looking at. I posted on Facebook, but it's been fun to watch a changing of the guard. And honestly, I say fun. Initially, it's kind of souring to people who are our age because you're
Yeah.
watching all these people who dominated now essentially being dominated, unfortunately. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But with that being said, it's fun to watch the next generation to see where they take the game because all these changes of the rules that we were talking about in different games, even how they're taught at an AAU level all the way up, you know what I mean? All these things change these sports drastically. And so if you genuinely look, so one of the posts I made had D Wade, Westbrook, Kobe, Braun, and Curry on there, right?
Yeah.
And even though some of those guys are still around and still playing at what I would consider an elite level, the comparisons that were made on that post were incredible to me. I mean, you had Donovan Mitchell, who's got similarities to D Wade,
Mm-hmm.
spot on in my opinion.
Agree. I
Like
think he's a little bit better shooter, but I think D Wade
much better,
was a better defender.
100%. And but the elite level athleticism, finishes at the rim, in multiple different ways, floaters, dunk on top of you, whatever. You got Jaw and Westbrook. I think that's the one that I was kind of a little bit sideways on just because I see where they're coming from. I think Russ was more ball dominant in his prime, whereas Jaw kind of lets the flow. Now, if you watched him in college, I mean, he dominated the ball. 90% of
Yeah.
possessions went through him. You know what I mean? But then Booker and Kobe, I think that the similarity to Booker and Kobe is the fact that their prime objective on the court is to help their team win games by putting the ball in the basket. You know what I mean? Like Kobe
Yeah.
was never out there to be a facilitator. Now Kobe is. This is where I agree with you in theory. Kobe was 10 times better defender. Like Kobe wanted
Yeah.
to guard the best player on the other side of the court. Uh, I don't think Booker will ever get to that in his career. And that's nice. Don't worry. Just a fire alarm going off at my house. I hope my sister's not burning the house down. Um, with that being said, and hopefully that didn't ruin
That was
everything.
just a fire take, is what it was.
Yeah, you're just bringing the heat, man. I think there's definitely comparisons between Booker and Kobe. And I don't think if you're going to say he's the next Kobe, I think that you can't say that. But I think stylistically, Luka and LeBron, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of similarities there. Both of them kind of command their team, and their team's going to go how they go. And both pass first. And then Trae Young and Curry, obviously, naturally, comparisons as far as Trae Young's a lot smaller than Curry, but Curry was not a big player coming into the league, and they kind of wondered what he could be. And he stretched the 3-point line out 4 foot behind the line, and Trae does that on a regular basis.
So they had Atlanta's beat writer on 93.9 the other day.
Okay.
And he actually said he disagrees with that take. And he brought up somebody else that I feel like is interesting when he compared Trae to him. And I want to see your thoughts on that. He said Steve Nash.
No, zero chance.
See, I think he's more comparable to Steve Nash. One, I don't think he shoots it near as well as Steph Curry does. I think he passes the ball better than Curry does. And that's where the Nash thing comes into account. None of the three are really good defenders, though. But
No.
Curry doesn't average as many assists as Young does. And I don't think Young's
No.
not a terrible shooter, but I don't think he's near the shooter that Curry is. Actually, no one really is.
No. I don't think there's anybody in that category. Surprisingly enough, I think his teammate is the only person who's even in the conversation. I mean, Joe Harris should have been in that conversation. He kind of dropped the ball there for a little bit. But at today's game, at the pace and speed that they're playing and the physicality, man, I don't know how you can shoot at a super high percentage. I don't like the Nash comparison only because of what Nash's intentions were on the court. Trae Young does have the ball a lot like Nash, but Nash had that drive under the basket. I think probably his lob game is where that conversation came from, because there's actually a big article put out about how Trae Young's natural lob is the same as his natural floater. And so as a defender, how are you going to tell? Like, the only way you know is where the rim is and seeing which direction it's going to go. So I get that comparison, but I think it's probably a friendly medium, but I still think the Steph one is, Trae Young's goal out there is to score. And he knows in his head the way to be able to score more is every once in a while you got to kind of drop it off to a big. And Collins and Capella are two of the best at that. I mean, and a Kongwu, man, Okongwu is nice. I really like Okongwu. First time we saw Okongwu, you'll laugh at this, was back when he was playing with the Ball brothers in high school. I don't know if you remember that, but he was on those teams. So think about those teams that they had in high school. Like, you want to talk about an elite level team. My goodness. You got three guys who are on the NBA. You had the rookie of the year. You had a guy who's getting big minutes, big meaning, 10 minutes a game, but those are important minutes in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then you've got, obviously Lonzo, who was there too, who's, a good NBA player. So, man, that team, I wouldn't want to have played him in high school.
Heck no. No. No, I feel like there was somebody else too. Maybe it was just him that you were talking to me about before. But so I didn't even think about this. So you shared something earlier. They finalized Team USA, which those of you that are watching on YouTube will be able to see the picture here. I'm going to share the picture of what the finalized team looks like. Let me know. Can you see that, BJ?
I can't. It says you're screen sharing on my end, so maybe I.
There we go. How about now?
See it.
Can you see that?
Yes. Yep. I can see it.
All right. So Team USA announced the official 12-man roster. James Harden did actually end up backing out today. And
good decision on his part.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that yesterday, I think it was, and you said you didn't really understand it, which I when you said it, it made total sense. Look, I tell you what, I'll go ahead, for people that are not watching, I'll go ahead and read the list real quick, and then we'll kind of give our initial. So we got KD, we got Lillard, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, Bam Adebayo, Draymond Green, Zach LaVine, Kevin Love, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Jeremy Grant. First, before I ask for your first opinions on it, Harden dropped out because of injury. LeBron's not playing. He's played for forever, and he's going to do Space Jam. Donovan Mitchell's not playing because of injury. I'm trying to think. Kyrie's not playing because of injury, I think, too.
Man, there's a million of guys who aren't playing, though.
Yeah, I mean, let's go ahead. All right, so let's say healthy guys, your first thought. Who's your first one that you're surprised is not on there?
Curry.
Yeah. Mine actually went to the guy that you just said was comparable to him, is Trae Young. I'm surprised Trae Young's not on there.
So I agree with Trae Young, but with that being said, international game, he'd get bullied. I wouldn't, if I were Popovich or Colangelo or whoever technically decides these rosters, I wouldn't put Trae Young on that roster. I'd have him practice with them. I'd have him in the camps. I develop him, but right now I wouldn't put him in international play.
Who's your biggest surprise that's on the team?
Naturally, and I think the cool thing about this is obviously they put this with the big names up top and the smaller names at the bottom. Jeremy Grant's a guy who had an incredible year. If you didn't see what he did in Detroit, there's a reason for it, because Detroit stunk this year. Yeah. They had the Blake Griffin issues but they've got a good young core. And Jeremy Grant is a guy who had a big year at OKC, which got him into Denver. And then now over at Detroit, he's doing special things. So I think it's cool that Jeremy Grant is on there, but obviously that was a little surprising to me. Kevin Love, if I'm allowed to take two, hopefully I didn't take both yours, but Kevin Love was another guy who I was surprised at, because I don't know where he is mentally and physically. And I hope he's in a good spot, because I think in the international game. He's got a style of game that really suits international play. He can be physical. He throws a great outlet pass. He can knock down open threes. So hopefully he'll be a key piece to this roster. But those are the two biggest surprises for me.
Biggest surprise, Love was on there for me,
Okay.
but it's not because I totally agree with what you said about his game being perfectly suited for the Euro game. I think he can absolutely kill off the bench. I think that if he's committed to it, as far as him saying, "Yeah, I'll do it," then I think he's in the great mind frame.
Right.
And I'm going to say Drew, not because I don't think Drew's not talented, but I don't really know what he's going to do in the Team USA game unless you're going to bring him in to uh, be a specialist guy and guard the other team's best guard. Because he's not really that great of a scorer. And maybe that might help him because he could get it to guys like Lillard or Durant or Booker or Tatum or guys like that. But I love seeing guys like Beal on there because I think this may be what Beal needs for people to start realizing what this guy's doing when he goes out there and just the guy second in the league in scoring this year, led the league in scoring last year, I believe. Uh, Everyone knows about Lillard, but no one ever really talks about Bradley Beal. So I'm glad to see him on here because I feel like if he's on the international stage and everyone's watching and cheering for Team USA, now they're going to be able to see what Bradley Beal actually does.
Right. And that's exactly what Beal brings to the table. I'm just shocked that you didn't say Draymond. I thought for sure it was coming. I had my laugh ready.
Everyone knows that. Everyone that knows me knows how I feel about Draymond Green. Everyone knows it. If anything, I'm just glad he's not kicking anybody I like in the balls now. He's gonna be kicking somebody from a different country in the balls. So that's. I mean, I guess he's gonna. What's gonna happen? I'm gonna go ahead and guarantee it. He will get at least. He would get at least. Or I'll tell you what. Over under 3 technicals he gets in the Olympics.
3 is what I was thinking. I can't lie. Three was the number that came to mind. Yeah.
So I guarantee you he does, and I'm gonna be pissed off that I'm cheering for a team that has Draymond Green on it, and he's getting technicals in the Olympics. Like, come on, man! Like, just play the game, dude.
I think surprisingly enough, he might. Well, I think honestly, you have to go. Most important player on this team is obviously Kevin Durant. Like this team's going to go how Kevin Durant goes. With that being said, and this is going to be a controversial take, I think Draymond Green might be the second most important player on this roster because if you look at the rest of this roster, who does what Draymond does? The only other guy who does is Bam, who's right above him. And I think that's part of the reason why Bam has been successful is because he's going to defend at an elite level. He's going to rebound and he's going to set you up, whether that be through screens, rolling to the basket, proper cuts, just understanding floor spacing. But man, I think both those two guys are extremely important pieces, and seeing Bam on this roster is pretty cool for me too.
By the way, this is something I guess maybe you didn't see it either because you mentioned him. Jokic is not playing in the Olympics.
Correct. He originally signed up, but now he's not.
Yeah, he says he's skipping. It says what I'm reading here on NBC.com is he will neither play for Serbia in the Olympic qualifying nor if the nation advances in the Tokyo Games. So that's a big advantage for us as well. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sure I'll see teams and I'll be like, oh, I forgot he's from there, or oh, I forgot he's a nationalized citizen for there or something. I'm sure I'll do that, but I'm like you, man. I can't wait for the Olympics. I don't care if we're playing a YMCA team from Japan. I'm still gonna watch.
Well, let's give them some odds because I actually, I like to put a little bit of skin in the game. I have fun with that, and so I was looking up what are the odds for the Olympics. USA is only -305 favorite. I mean, to me, there's money to be had there. Serbia was the second favorite, and they were +800, and now they're without Jokic, who's by far their best player on the roster. They still have Boban, who both of us are Bobby fans.
Oh yeah,
Bielitsa. Anybody who's watched the international game, Teodosic, he's past his prime, but that dude's been a killer for them for years. And then Pedrusev. is the same thing. So Serbia is just a well-oiled machine. I don't think they're gonna lose a step without Jokic, but obviously you want your best player on the court. And then Spain is the other person who's quote unquote a contender. Spain is plus 800 as well. Noah Baca to injury. He was one of those nationalized citizens that you were
Right.
talking about. But they still have Mirotic, Hernan Gomez, Abrines, Rubio, Rudy Fernandez, and then another classic international player, Sergio Uhl. It's going to be interesting to see, but it's like we mentioned, all these teams are facing the same thing. Their main guys aren't playing. Luckily, I think it benefits Team USA, and that's why I think even though that negative 305 is not a good number, I think it's a sure bet because the depth that USA has compared to these other countries is just night and day difference. So with Popovich still leading them, Coach K and Pop, as long as they're there, I'm going to bet my money on Team USA. Once those two are gone, I'm going to wait to see who they bring in next before I do that again.
um, so before we go any farther, I can't not mention this. So 6 p.m. Friday, I'll find out if it's on TV. Our guy Javen Reeves will be jumping in the Olympic trials. Let me see if it's on TV. Like I said, it's at 6 p.m. on Friday. Once if he makes it to the finals, he will jump again on Sunday. Um, Friday 5 to 8 on NBCSN, which I'm not sure what channel that is. And then Sunday is
221 on DirecTV.
nice. And then Sunday um, is on just regular NBC. And that schedule, when and if he makes it to the finals, will be at 4:30. Now, the times I'm giving is our time because all of these are listed in Pacific time because this is in Oregon. So this is our time. So what I say, 6:30 Friday and 4:30 on Sunday. So make sure you guys, cheer that dude on. He's a fantastic person. BJ got a chance to meet him as well when he came up and you know watched us through the podcast before. Just a fantastic dude. Um, Works his tail off, man, and he's going to deserve it when he makes it to the Olympics because he's put in so much work, and I can't wait to see him live out a dream.
Yeah, that's an incredible opportunity, man. He's got a great story as well too. He's had some injuries that you guys discussed briefly, and he's came back stronger than ever. And I wish him nothing but success, man. And that's why I was trying to tell him yesterday is look, at the end of the day, you've already put the work in. So everything that happens now, the work's already done. No reason to be nervous. Just go out and perform. And I'm excited to see how he does. And I obviously want anybody who's a local kid to do well. And
Yeah.
this is his opportunity at living out his dream. It's incredible.
So the other thing so two big things. We're just go ahead and let you guys know. BJ and I love basketball. If you guys that have listened to the podcast know that. So today's just going to be a basketball flavor. Uh, we got to talk about the draft lottery, and it's funny because I stole 3 pictures from BJ's Facebook uh, with what we're screen sharing today, and here's the next one. So here's the odds for what the draft lottery was yesterday. Um, I
Let me
gotta
give
make
you a little bit of a wah, wah, wah there too.
yeah, absolutely. All right, we seeing this now?
Yes.
All right. So just to read it off for again, those who are watching or not watching on YouTube, we had Houston at 14%, Detroit at 14%, Orlando at 14%, uh, OKC at 11.5, Cleveland at 11.5, Minnesota at 9, Toronto at 7.5, Chicago 4.5, Sacramento 4.5, New Orleans at 4.5, Charlotte at 1.8, San Antonio 1.7, Indy at 1.0, and then the Golden State Warriors at 0.5. Now, what that is that's the chances, their percentage chance of them getting the number 1 overall pick. Now, the rule was it happened in the Andrew Wiggins trade to Golden State for D'Angelo Russell was Minnesota had a top 3 protected pick. So if it had anything outside of the top 3, they lose their pick to Golden State. So um, that happened.
Hindsight being 2020.
Yeah. So here's the
Hey,
here's the
for the people
results.
who can't see the screen too, what was that folder you had up there that said Two Girls, One Cup? I didn't know what that was. It seemed odd to me that was on your laptop, but I don't know.
uh,
I mean, I didn't know what it was.
it was some weird email you sent me yesterday.
Oh,
I didn't know what it
spam.
was. I never opened it. I just put it in that folder to open later.
Good move. Don't open it.
So for those of you that again aren't watching on YouTube, Detroit 1, Houston 2, BJ's Cleveland Cavaliers 3, Toronto 4, Orlando 5, OKC 6. Number 7's Golden State Warriors, 8 Orlando, 9 Sacramento, 10 New Orleans Pelicans, 11 Charlotte Hornets, 12 San Antonio Spurs, 13 Indiana Pacers, and 14 Golden State Warriors again. So I want to just take a look at this one. We'll talk about the Minnesota thing because that sucks for them. And then we'll go from there on who we'll predict our top 3 picks here.
Well, first of all, that's such a Minnesota thing too. Like that,
Yeah,
that's just kind of the epitome of the franchise. Like exactly how it played out is exactly what everybody in the country thought was going to happen because it's Minnesota, and sure enough, it did.
All right, let's see. So make sure you can see this.
I can see it.
All right, you can see it now. There we go. All right,
yes.
so here's the picks. Obviously, it's got the top 3, what most people would consider the consensus top 3 guys. Some people would put Jalen Green up there as well.
Yeah,
would be
I've
the other
seen
guy.
Green above Scrub a bunch.
Yeah. Now, if you're Detroit, I mean, obviously you can't pass up on Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham to me is Ben Simmons with a jump shot. In my opinion, I think if Ben Simmons had a jump shot, we wouldn't be. A lot of people wouldn't be trashing the guy that he is because Ben Simmons would be a scorer at that point, and he could do everything. I don't know how much of that you agree with as far as Cade Cunningham is like him, but actually, I wouldn't say he's not the same defender that Ben Simmons is either, though.
No, but I think Cade Cunningham is Luka. I think he's more like Luka because he can do everything.
Yeah.
He's going to handle the ball. He's going to play point. He's what, 6'8" now at this point, and maybe still a little bit more growth to come. So I just say naturally, you think of the comparison to Simmons because of size, frame, and everything. But yeah, I think he ends up playing more like Luka, depending on what team he goes to. And at Detroit, what you're looking for, in my opinion, we just talked about him earlier. You've got a young roster. You've got Jeremy Grant, who's kind of your featured player right now. You got Isaiah Stewart, Sadiq Bey, all these guys who we just watched play high-level college basketball. Bring Cade Cunningham in, let him run the show. And if you're Detroit, you have to take the best player available. You don't need anybody to fit into your system. And to me, that's 100% Cade Cunningham. Only other person who has an argument is Evan Mobley. And I still think it's not a lengthy conversation.
Could you picture, especially being in the Eastern Conference, because the Western Conference to me is still stronger. There are definitely strong teams in the Eastern Conference. Could you see Detroit starting to sneak into the conversation of the lower to mid-level Eastern Conference teams, kind of like how, like, I won't say jump as high up like Phoenix did, but maybe like a Portland in the Eastern Conference, maybe with all the young talent that they have and adding Jeremy Grant and having Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart and then drafting Cade Cunningham?
I don't think so. I think you've got Chicago, who's on the upward trend. I think Chicago is going to be a playoff team next year. I don't think a lot of the teams who are in the playoffs this year take a huge step back. Be interesting to see what the Pacers do. The Pacers should be in that conversation. But yeah, I think Detroit still, even with Cunningham, misses the playoffs next year unless him and Grant go absolutely crazy. I think every game you play them, though, I'm going to take Detroit with the points because I think Detroit will cover a lot of spreads. I just don't think they'll win a ton of games next year.
You mentioned the Bulls. Who did they lose their pick to? Because
I don't know.
They were on that percentage one, but they're not on here.
I think it was in the Vucevic trade. I'm not positive, so don't hold me to that. But I think in the Vucevic trade, they might have lost
that would make sense because Orlando's on there twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
5 and 8.
Yeah, I mean, we both agree you got to take Cade Cunningham there. Now,
Yeah.
this is where we may disagree, we may not. I don't know. Number two, I'll go first here. If I'm Houston, I'm taking Suggs. Um, I love that kid. I think the kid's got moxie. I think he plays the game very well. You have an aging John Wall. Um, to me, I don't know. I think he could take over a team now. He also has good size, not as much as Cade Cunningham. I think he's more of a I don't want to say pure point guard, but I think he's closer to a pure point guard than Cade Cunningham is, whereas Cade Cunningham looks more to score. Um, I think Suggs is more runs a team. I don't know, but the only thing you worry about at that point is who you're going to have around him, which you're going to worry about that with whoever you draft in Houston. If we're being honest, they've completely burned bridges with every player they've had in the past 10, 15 years. It seems like. But if I'm Houston, and I'm drafting, I'm taking Suggs, and I love Mobley. I've been on record saying I love Mobley for a long time.
Well, similar thought process in Houston, in my opinion, is that you're going to take the best player available. And that's because of exactly what you said. They're in a complete rebuild. They really have nothing going for them. I mean, John Wall is not going to be in Houston for long, I don't think. I mean, if he is, he's not got much gas in the tank and
Yeah.
nobody else wants him really, or something, or he doesn't want to go whatever it is. I don't see long-term fit for John Wall there. So I think what they do is they go with a project. And I think Mobley is obviously the project, but I think you take the player there from a GM perspective who has the highest ceiling and the highest potential in the league. And I think Suggs is a great player.
Yeah.
Personally, I think this draft is extremely top heavy in the top 3 picks. Maybe I do think Jalen Green should be in that conversation. So I'll even give you top 4. But after 5, which is expected or projected to be Scotty Barnes,
I love
man, it
Scotty Barnes.
falls.
So
I love Scotty Barnes too. That's why I say after 5, I think it falls off substantially. And I don't think there's another great pickup until about 13, like the guys who are in that mix. And then even after 13, there's just nobody phenomenal who jumped out at me. So I think this is going to be not a great draft. I think it's going to be, like I said, potential for those couple of players to do really well. But man, if we're on Houston right now, but moving to Cleveland's pick, if I'm the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm trading that number 3 pick and I'm getting whatever I can, unless, and this is a very small chance, but unless Mobley or Cunningham are available, if I'm Cleveland, I'm for sure trading that pick.
so okay. So I mean, this is just a comparison that I kind of thought of for people that haven't watched Evan Mobley play. He reminds me of a little bit more athletic Miles Turner. Like that's kind of he's got a great length. I think he's got better footwork than Miles Turner. To me, the thing that stood out for me whenever I watched him was just how great he was. He has just great feet and great hands.
Yeah.
And he to be 18 years old and doing that, he could definitely get stronger and he could definitely get a better jump shot. It's not terrible jump shot. It's got great form. Uh, but just be a little bit more consistent. I think he could be a very, very good big man, especially in today's league.
Well, he's got what you can't coach. You know what I mean? He's a +7 footer. He runs the court extremely well. Gifted athlete, like one of the most gifted athletes that we'll see. I think you might understand this comparison. Obviously, I'm a North Carolina fan, right? I see a ton of John Henson in him.
Yeah.
I just think he's got those short half hooks. He's a shot blocker. He's going to be a rim runner. Obviously, you got to worry about his health in the NBA. You know, playing 82 games against grown men, it's going to be an adjustment period for him. But he knows that. And I watched him and his brother play in high school together, who's another 7 footer. And man, they were fun to watch in high school. They played up in the, I think, Portland, Oregon area. Brandon Roy coached a team who I think they played against them in the regular season. I used to always love watching that game, and mainly AAU circuit ball. But man, Mobley's a project. That's for sure. I don't think Mobley comes in and averages a double-double, but I think look at what Aiton's done. I was just telling my dad the other day, I thought Aiton was soft, and Aiton's made me eating my words a whole lot recently because the dude's playing like an animal right now.
Speaking of shirts, by the way, or their gear, the Suns gear. Did you see the new shirt that they dropped last night? After last night,
No.
it says Valley Oop, and
Mm,
it has the stuff like what's the pattern and stuff that you're talking about just now.
mountains.
Yeah, it's pretty cool for real. I just like how it said Valley Oop. I thought that was kind of clever.
Man, those colors pop too. Like there's something about, and I don't like purple and I don't like orange really, but there's something about a black background with the orange and the purple on there that just makes it look really good.
Yeah. So, speaking on the playoffs, we'll go with the Eastern Conference first since we got the Eastern Conference final starting tonight. They actually start here in about 30 minutes from where we're recording. Um, we have the Bucks and the Hawks. I mean, if you said at the beginning of the year that the Bucks would be in the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't really think too many people would call you crazy. But if someone said,
Yeah.
"Hey, man, it's going to be the Bucks versus the Hawks," you would have called someone crazy at that point because you would have
Yeah.
been like, "Well, where's Brooklyn or where's Miami or where's Philadelphia?" No one would have ever thought that Atlanta would be where they're at. And I said I said this to you last night about I might have been saying this to James Cam on the ride home. I watch Phoenix and I watch Atlanta and I still don't understand how they win games. I just don't get how they
Atlanta's more confusing to me.
well, I'm saying even like Phoenix right now because they don't have Chris Paul. Like they just
Right.
keep grinding
But
out
look
these
what
wins.
Cam Payne's done. Yeah,
Yeah,
true. Well, they've won 9 straight, right? Phoenix has won 9 straight,
yeah,
but all of them have been nail biters, and at least 2 of them, if not 3 of them, realistically, they should have lost those games. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
PG hits those 2 free throws last night, it's over. They play good defense with 0.9 seconds to go, it's over. You know, PG was the one who got them to that point, so I don't disagree with PG needed to make those free throws. I disagree with the fact saying that PG lost them that game because PG won them that game, then lost it. But yeah, you can't like if they do get to the finals, they can't expect to do that. And we talked about it last night, man. Clippers have been here before. Clippers have been down 0-2 in every series. Like if you look at their first series was against who?
Dallas. Yeah,
Dallas, they were
yeah.
down 0-2, and then Utah down 0-2. So they're not worried about this. I think they got some good news about Kawhi that it's been confirmed as a strain and not a tear. So I guess they're still trying to leave the door open. Whereas if it was a tear, man, you probably, I mean, Embiid still played with the tear, but that was to his meniscus. And um, I don't know. I don't see Kawhi coming back. If he does, I don't see him being a huge part of that success. But man, you got a couple of dogs on that team. And obviously Beverly's in the mix there. Reggie Jackson, PG, Terrence Mann stepped up big. So I think it's going to be a great series. And I do think since I've seen this song and dance before, I think Clippers won in 7 in the first series, right? Clippers won in 6
7-7.
in the
Yeah.
second series. So I'll take Clippers in 6 on this one. And there's nothing that we've seen that shows us that they should win 4 straight, right?
Yeah.
But history so far this year tells me that you can't count them out, and they've already cost me a little bit of change this year, so hopefully I can win some of that back.
So Reggie Jackson has been playing like a man possessed in these playoffs. He looks
Yeah.
even better than what he had in the past, and he's doing it at the perfect time because the guy's is a free agent after this season, so he may be playing himself into a bigger contract. I'm looking here some of the guys that they have as far as um, Kawhi, Serge, DeMarcus Cousins, Patrick Patterson, Reggie Jackson, Batum, and Amir Coffey are all. Amir Coffey is a restricted free agent after this year, but all of those guys So you can get an early bird on Patrick Patterson and Reggie Jackson, as well as Kawhi Leonard, and then the rest of those guys don't have a bird rights. Um, but I'm with you. I've said this. It was funny because we said the exact same thing without even knowing that the other one was saying it. Like I heard you say it last night, and I was like, bro, that's exactly what I've been telling people. Like I'm not counting the Clippers out now. The Clippers, it's almost like they need a wake up call every series. It's like, oh, we're down 0-2. I guess we should start playing now. Um, if Paul George doesn't miss those free throws, that game is completely over last night. And I'm with you. I'm not blaming Paul George, but if he does hit those free throws, then there's no value. There's no all this stuff. Like it's a game where they're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? We really hope Chris Paul comes back because we don't know how really good Devin Booker's gonna be wearing a mask in the next game. Because that's something that
What
a lot.
campaign finish with? 29 or 24,
Yeah,
somewhere in that ballpark. So if you have campaign, who's your CP3 replacement, right? And he scores dang near 30.
yeah,
Yeah, you did everything that you thought you could, and somehow the Clippers, like that's one of those momentum swinging games that completely change the outlook of a series. And the Clippers have been here and done this before, and it's exactly like you said. Maybe they'll wake up the sleeping giant. Kawhi's obviously been an integral part of that in the past. I don't know how consistent PG's going to continue to be, but man, he's played well. And like we said, obviously you got to hit those free throws, but statistically wise, he's played pretty daggone good the first two games of the series. And I don't see any adjustments being made on Phoenix's end that they're going to be able to slow him down. I think their best defender against them is obviously Crowder, which is the case for most teams. Like whoever is their best player, I'd put Crowder on them. You're probably going to get Crowder in foul trouble, but it's still worth it for your team. But I don't think Bridges can guard him. I don't think Cam Johnson, loved the kid to death, one of my favorite Tar Heels of all time. Don't think Cam Johnson can guard him. I don't think they have a great answer besides team defense for PG and what he can bring to the table.
Cam hit a big shot last night in that game though, down the stretch, and put
He's
them.
5 for 5.
Yeah, he had a big three on a shot clock running down play, and he's. I'm not saying that I thought he was going to be bad, but he's made himself a name, or I'm trying to think of the word that I'm looking for. He's really locked in his spot in Phoenix, and I think he's got a very good role there, and I think he can continue to do that for them.
Well, you think of players that they had in the past, like a TJ Warren, who was kind of in that position, and having Bridges and Cam Johnson has filled the void of what TJ Warren left. And we didn't get to see TJ Warren much this year in Indiana due to health issues. But if you look what TJ Warren did in the bubble last year, I mean,
Yeah.
he looked like Kobe. Like we were talking about Devin Booker, it might have been TJ Warren if he had a full season this year. Which is kind of funny to say, but for sure, I think when Cam Johnson transferred from Pitt to Carolina, I didn't know what to expect. And it wasn't some breaking, earth shattering news. And Cam Johnson quickly became one of my favorite all time Tar Heels just because he did everything. He'll play hard on defense, shoots the ball at a high percentage, great team guy. And I think Bridges is a guy coming out of Villanova who played in a system that's very similar to what Phoenix plays now.
Yeah.
And you got a guy who kind of leads the team as they go in CP3, whereas it was Archie Diacono a couple of years ago, and then was Gillespie the last couple of years. And you got a leader like Jay Wright, who's a player's coach. Same with Monty Williams. Monty Williams is one of the ultimate players' coaches. So those two pieces fit in really well. And Phoenix also has the potential to continue to get better. That's what the scary thing is. Like, think about it. They're really only veteran pieces are like Saric, Crowder, and CP3, right?
Yeah.
And your core nucleus is those four guys who we just talked about. Bridges, even Campaign. I don't know where you put Campaign in that equation. I don't think he's a core nucleus or a veteran or a rook.
See, I
But
would
you
put
got,
him more of a veteran because I feel like he's been in the league
yeah,
for what 6-7 years at least. Because he was
yeah.
in OKC early, wasn't he? With Westbrook and Durant.
Yes, and then he was in Chicago, and all those guys said they didn't think he was going to play at an NBA level. You know what I mean? So
I
at
can't
the end of
picture
the day,
Oklahoma City saying that because he played a lot in Oklahoma City, and I thought he played well in Oklahoma City. He's playing better now, but I thought he played well at times in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, he's definitely had glimpses. I mean, he was they used to make fun of him because they said he was Russ's dance partner. Remember, before every game they go up and they do their shtick and then campaign really didn't get a lot of PT. And now there was 100% games that he ended up starting to play and play more. I think by the end of the year he probably averaged about 15 minutes a game, which to me in the NBA that's a good chunk of change. If a coach is going to give you 15 minutes a game, you better take advantage of that opportunity. But then think about it. You got Bridges, Johnson, Aiton, and who was there? One other that I put, Booker, obviously. I don't know how you could forget Booker, but that's their 4 guys who are all, this is their first taste of the playoffs, and they're already in the Western Conference Finals up 2-0 against the team. Scary to think of what they could do in the future.
Just, I hope it doesn't end up being like the Thunder team where, they're young and then they have to get rid of somebody and then that guy goes and ends up like Harden. You know what I'm saying? That team to me is a very sad team that we kind of lost, because I wanted to see what that team together could have done, and it sucks that they had to get rid of Harden and all that stuff. But hey, he and KD are back together.
I don't think we would have had Houston where they were unless that happened. I don't think you would have KD being the player he is right now without that. I think Westbrook still kind of would have done his thing. Like Westbrook's kind of the guy you can't tell me nothing. You know what I mean? Like he's going to average a triple double. He's going to play ball the way he wants to play ball, and he's going to leave his blood, sweat, and tears out there every single night. So I'm okay with not seeing that team unfold. And it's the nature of the beast, man. We've seen it a million times. You've seen it for generation after generation. Realistically, it's a business. And business wise, they knew that, if you're not going to get those guys to re-sign in an OKC market, you got to maximize their value and get what you can out of them. And they tried their best and they got some pieces in return, and those pieces didn't pan out how they wanted to. And now they're in a tough spot again, man. OKC you got Shea Gilgeous Alexander and you got Flugen Stewart. That's
Kemba Walker now.
And Kemba, who I bet Kemba comes back. I bet he has a decent year too, because Kemba's going to try to get somewhere else.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that trade, because I was talking James that came like he's a Celtics fan. He's like, I like the trade. I'd be 100% honest with you. I hate that trade if I'm a Boston fan. You trade away Kemba, who I honestly, that's fine. You think he wants to get out, that's fine. But why trade the 16th pick with that? Yeah. Like, that was what didn't make sense, to get Al Horford back, to get Moses Brown, who's unproven. Not saying that he can't be good, but he's unproven. And then a second-round pick for next year, I believe it is. It's not even this year. I'm pretty sure it's next year. Like, you trade.
No value.
Yeah, like there's nothing there, that you just traded away your second or third best scorer off your team. You could make an argument for Jaylen Brown, which I'll totally hear. That's fine. But Kemba is a fantastic scorer, and now you traded him away, and you didn't get anything in return. And you traded away your draft pick that you could have picked something with. What
I saw was Brad Stevens just showed his hand to a certain extent. You knew, as his first deal in the NBA, I would want to try to make a memorable one. This was not what I would do with my first deal.
It's memorable, just not in the right way.
That's what I'm saying. Not a good position to be. And I think for Stevens, coaching that team and seeing the dynamics of that team, and seeing the value of what you were paying Kemba compared to, obviously, like you said, your 2 stars are Tatum and Brown now. But he was gone no matter what. And so whether they got something in return or whether they just got to move off his contract, I think he was ready to pull the trigger. And I don't think he spent a lot of time on it. I think it was like, who wants him? Oh, okay, you guys are willing to take him. And that's where the 16th pick came in, I think. I think they say, look, we know where you stand. We know what the value is. We know what the market is for Kemba. If you want us to take him, first of all, we're giving you Horford, because Horford doesn't have a good contract. And so you're at least taking on another bad contract. And then secondly, you're giving us something of value in return. And that's where the 16th pick could potentially become a value.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they could have gone to somebody like, I bet they could have gotten Ben Simmons. I bet they could have gotten Ben
When the
Simmons.
deal was made, no, but now I think it's clear that Doc Rivers is willing to deal, which Doc Rivers doesn't make that decision, but you know who does? Daryl Morey. And you were just talking about Houston. Daryl Morey ain't afraid to make changes. And he made changes last year. Him and Elton Brand worked together and made changes last year, and they're going to make changes again this year. Man, I hope Sixers don't get rid of Ben Simmons for a deal like what Kemba just went, because I'm telling you right now, Ben Simmons has a lot more value than that. Ben Simmons is going to come back and be a great player at some point in his career. He knows exactly what he has to work on. I think the whole thing that I was saying last night to the guys who we were playing with too is Ben Simmons is not a natural scorer. That's okay. But what Ben Simmons can do is he can play bully ball, and he's got elite level athleticism that if you try to put one guy in front of him, he's either going through you or around you and over top of you. Tough to guard three directions, right? The only direction you don't have to go is you don't have to step out to the 3-point line. So at least you got that buffer there. But with that being said, the reason why he couldn't do that is because he was shooting 33% from the free throw line. Yeah. And so if you combine those two things, it was just as bad as it could get. And then on top of that, he's in his own head. You got toughest crowd in America. Philly fans don't take it easy on their home team. And so they're in his head. He's in his own head. I mean, when Dwight Howard is coming out saying he's got your back, like that's all I needed to know. I'm like, if Dwight had to come out and say that, it's not pretty there right now. So, yeah, I could see some type of deal like that being made. I just hope Philly doesn't lose a key piece.
How much you think
Simmons has too much value?
How much you think Philly's kicking themselves in the tail now for not making that Harden trade?
I still think, man, to me, the bigger pieces, like they needed a Covington on this team. They needed a Saric on this team. And they need, in my opinion, the most important player was Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler fit that team perfectly. And I for a long time said I would have rather had Redick than Curry. Neither of them can defend, but Curry got hot at least a little bit late. So I don't know. I might retract that statement. But with that being said, I think Saric and Covington and Butler, kick Korkmaz off that team, replace him with Covington, and I think already you've got a better fit right there. Mike Scott, trade Mike Scott for Saric. I mean, both those guys are kind of irrelevant, and I think Shake Milton's a nice piece, but Shake Milton, Thybulle's a nice piece, but none of those guys are, to the average listener who's listening to this, they don't know either of those names.
So Thybulle can't score either. That's the problem. No. Thybulle can defend, but Thybulle can't score.
And Cadle makes dumb mistakes. Cadle has cost the Sixers probably 8 to 10 games this year. And one of them was just what we watched when he fouled on that 3-pointer at the end of the game. You got tough shot, let him take the tough shot. Don't slap him in the back of the head with 55 seconds to go in the game. And, I've made more mistakes like that than anybody else in the world. I guarantee it, because you're playing hard and it's just a breakdown in focus, essentially, is what it is. And I felt bad for the kid because the other thing I didn't know, he would have been Ben Simmons' teammate in Australia. He's playing for Team Australia. For some reason, I thought that was I thought that was like a French. It sounded like a French last name or something different, but he's Team Australia. And I think he'll be a nice piece for Team Australia too, because we know what he brings you. You got a guy like Dellavedova who's there, and he's going to make Thybulle a lot better. And Australia is another team who we got to watch out for this year just because of how hard they play.
Yeah, so I tell you what, let's go with what we have now. We've already predicted the Western Conference, so we both have the Clippers in there. Who you taking?
Did you say 7 or 6 though?
I'm going to go 7. I think they'll drop one more road game, and then I think they'll win the rest of them.
I think that's a fair bet. I'll take 6 just because I said it last night, so I got to stick to it. But I'll still say Clippers for sure. Clippers in 6.
Now, who are you taking in the East?
So East isn't a conversation. I would be shocked if anybody has anything different, but I'm going sweep. Get the brooms out. I think tonight was an 8.5 point spread. I think Milwaukee covers that. I actually laid bets for every quarter. So I've got Milwaukee winning. I think the biggest spread was like third quarter, or no, second quarter was Milwaukee was favored by 3.5. I took them in every quarter. So Milwaukee wins in dominating fashion tonight, sets the tone. I think game 3, when it goes back to Atlanta, gets interesting. And I think it's a close game, but I'm still taking that. I think that's the only actual game of this series. Milwaukee, you also look at kind of what the key there's always that one story that defines what the playoff run is. And this year it's health. And that might be because of injuries. That might be because of health and protocol safety procedures, right? But the only player who Milwaukee has had any type of injury to is Dante DiVincenzo. And so all of their other pieces are full bore, ready to go. And really no other team who's still left in it can say that. So I think, surprisingly enough, you have to put Milwaukee as the favorite to win the championship right now. And I'm not going to say they'll do that, but I'm going to say they got a good chance at it.
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee has the best player that's left playing. I think the only argument you would have is if Kawhi was healthy. I don't think any of those Trey and Devin Booker are fantastic players, but I don't think they're in that conversation yet.
Surprisingly enough, I think CP3 is the second. If you're going most important player for that team, maybe not best, most important player for
most important player. I think it's Giannis, and it's not close. And then I would say CP3 is second, because if you took Giannis off that Milwaukee team, I don't think they make the playoffs. I think he makes that big of a difference for that team. I just don't think any of those guys just have what it takes to push that team to the playoffs. Because, I mean, you see the Clippers without Kawhi. I don't think Chris Middleton's stepping up like Paul George. They've been playing without CP3 for the past 2 games, and they've beaten the Clippers twice. Atlanta, I don't know. Maybe Trae Young may be close to being as important to Atlanta as those guys. Because Trae Young does a lot for that
Good
team.
point.
You know that. Yeah, I think it's Giannis 1, and then you can make the argument for
Think about
CP3
from a
or Trae Young.
plan. Yeah, from a opposing coach's perspective, like you're really game planning for one player against the Hawk. Like, what is Trae Young going to do to you, and how are you going to defend Trae Young? You got Bogdanovich, Gallinari, Capella, Collins. Got all these guys who are good players, but you're only game planning for one guy on that roster. So it might be an argument for Trae Young.
I love John Collins, but you're right. You don't really game plan for him. I think. No. Is Cam Reddish hurt? I don't feel like
I don't even know if he's still there.
Yeah, Cam Reddish is still there. I know DeAndre Hunter is out for the rest of the season, but because I was looking at that thing that I sent you earlier, and they mentioned Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish has to be hurt or something, because I don't see his name ever.
I've watched the Hawks a lot. If he is still on the roster, he's DMPs.
Cam Reddish, sore right Achilles, should be available. Nate McMillan said. So there you go. That he has been out.
But I think who do you play him in front of?
Bogdanovich.
Lou Williams and no way.
That's
Bogdanovich.
That's what they had him as on their depth chart.
Well, Bogdanovich has a hurt right knee right now too. So Bogdanovich really shouldn't even be playing, but he's toughing it out. And the problem with that is, what's he doing? Selling for jumpers. So now he's got no power move to the rim, and everybody knows that. So he's going to have a couple of those nights that he comes out and he hits 6 threes. He's going to have a couple of those nights that he's going to come out and go over. And you're like, why is he even on the court? Because he can't defend right now either with a hurt knee. But Lou Williams, I think, is the guy who Cam Reddish would take his minutes. Lou Williams only really plays 9 minutes a game or something low like that. Really, Lou is, let's see if Nate McMillan feels like Lou's getting hot, and we've all seen it before, then let sweet Lou go to work. But that was the first that I saw that Lou Williams and Trae Young actually played on the court at the same time against Philly too, and they needed every bit of that to win that game. So I don't know. I don't think there's anybody who could really make an argument for the Hawks winning this series or competing in the championship. But I will say that they were a team who was on the verge of maybe not making the playoffs this year, and then made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, It's impressive to see, and they might be a piece or two away. I think losing Hunter is a lot bigger than what people think. Statistically, it doesn't look like that, but to have that extra steady person who knock down open shots, defend, would be nice. Capella's interesting to me too, man, because he averages, dang near 13 rebounds a game or whatever it is, and he gets a couple of those rim runs. But we're all seeing the NBA game continue to evolve to where it's going further and further away from big men. Yeah. And so what do you do with a player like that? And see, even Phoenix went in going small, and I don't know.
I think the great thing about guys like Capella, if you get to me, if you get the ball to Capella can score if he has to near the rim, but he doesn't need the ball. He defends and he rebounds, which is what you just brought up, and he gets those rim runs sometimes. Trey gets him that lob. What makes him better, as far as better on the offensive side, is even a guy like Gobert. Gobert has one of the lowest points per possession when given the ball when looking to score. Like it's like 0.6 points per possession of him trying to go one-on-one and score. To me, that's terrible. And I think for a team like Utah going forward, you're either going to have to say, look, man, you better live in the gym and work with somebody like Akeem, or we're going to have to ship you out or something. Because like you said, the game is going in a completely different direction. I don't care how great of a defender you are. If we throw you the ball, you need to be able to at least score sometime. Like average more than 0.6 points per possession of us giving you the ball.
Well, writing's been on the wall for this type of basketball for a decade, dang near a decade at this point. And so 100% what they did in that last series was they made their biggest defensive asset a liability to be on the court. If you're going to keep him on the court, we're going to go right him. And the problem with Utah is who they bring in off the bench, Favors. Well, Favors isn't the most fleet of foot either. You know what I mean? So I think that's the learning curve. Is I think you can have Gobert, and I think you can have Gobert do what he does. I personally, if I'm an NBA GM, I'm not paying a center. We were talking about this last night. I'm not paying a center max money unless their name is Jokic or Embiid. Yeah. Everybody else is not getting. So your Capellas, your Goberts, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I'll pay you 18 million a year. I'm not paying you 32 or 30 million a year or whatever potentially it could be. And if you get it somewhere else, good. But guess what? That team's probably not going to, be a championship contender if they're paying out that kind of money. So,
and I think you would agree Davis as well, if you consider Davis a center, but I consider Davis a power forward as well.
Well, I think in today's game, he is a center. And so I do think you put him in there 100%. And I mean, the whole thing against Davis is injuries, where that's even what happened with Kemba. And I think part of the reason he got dealt, I don't think there's any deal cooking right now for AD to be out of LA. But could you imagine if those rumors started? Oh my goodness, that would be, I think that'd be a fun conversation to be had. Is who do you, if you trade Anthony Davis because of injury, who do you get in return from him? And what does that team look like?
I do think there was one more guy we added to the conversation last night. I think we said Karl Anthony Towns as well. I think that was the only four that we said. At least I would add Karl Anthony Towns to that conversation. But I'm with you. Everybody else, I'm not paying you that money.
I still wouldn't pay Cat that money too. I love Cat. I think Cat's got a really good game. I don't think Cat does it on the defensive end. And I think Jokic is that same way, but I think Jokic can dominate a game offensively. He's got more in his bag than what Cat does. Cat's a great player. I don't think you can win paying a center max money if you got Karl Anthony Towns on your team.
Yeah, I can't really say you're wrong because Minnesota's not winning. So I can't. I mean, the proof is really in the pudding there. But before we get off here, I meant to do this at the beginning. BJ, for those of you who don't know, does sell fireworks. I want him to do his thing. This is your biggest plug right here, because I was already going to plug you anyway, and I'll plug you on the next episode. But there's no better person to talk about what you're doing than the person to doing it.
Well, so I got two things going right now too. And obviously fireworks season is in the nitty gritty, so to speak. And everybody's heard there's a national shortage of fireworks. And so 25 to 35% of all the fireworks that were supposed to come to the US aren't even going to make it. So if you haven't got your stuff yet, whether it's from me or somebody else, you need to get it ASAP 4th of July is on a Sunday this year. And so I think people are going to be shooting a lot of fireworks Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The thing that my company does, and my company is Dynamic Display Fireworks. I'm the owner and operator of that company. What we do is, how many of you at home, and Beef can attest to this, how many of you at home like going into a car dealership and looking for cars and dealing with the shtick of the guy selling you stuff and saying you need this and you need that? It's the same thing with the firework industry. So all these stores pay people some type of commission, and the more they sell, and they don't know what the product are, but the more they sell, the more money they make. And I respect that from a level of being that person and trying to make that money. But what they don't have and what we do have is the decades of experience. And what I'll do for you personally is the same thing I've actually done for Beef. I'll hand pick out your show based on the information you provide me to. I'll create you a YouTube playlist so you know the exact pieces that you're getting. And in the future, you'll have access to that as well too. And last but not least, I'll drop it off at your door so you don't even have anything to worry about. Now, the cool thing that I told Beef about this before is I knew coming on here, we were going to have a couple of people who maybe wanted some fireworks. So what I did was I created the Beef's Beef package, and it's got some pieces that are exclusively, the only place you can buy them from me right now is if you purchase this package. It's $300 packages. Value is a $400 retail. But you're getting that extra $100 discount, and you're getting pieces that you can't get anywhere else. I've got 3 of those that I built, 3 of those that are available solely to Beef Beef listeners. So if anybody is interested in that, let me know. Last quick plug for you too is, you see all these shoes around me. I do a $50 shoe, and so all sizes 8 through 12, men's and women's. I've got Asics, Puma, Reebok, Nike, Adidas. But if you can't see, these are, some incredible looking shoes, brand new shoes, comes with the box, $50 for those. So if you need any shoes for $50, tough to beat that deal, let me know. Most importantly, fireworks right now. Everybody pick up your fireworks. Happy 4th to everybody. Hope you have a great time. Create some memories with your family. But looking forward to everybody getting back to the normalcy of having some fun again.
Well, I didn't realize that's what you were saying earlier. So you just surprised me with the Beef's Beef package there. I think next year I'm gonna come and help handpick that package that's going in mine. That way we'll get
100%.
together and we'll throw in something crazy, and I'll get some new gear for next year, and I'll throw in a t-shirt with it. So
Nice.
so be looking out for that. Um, I I can't speak enough, and it's not just because BJ's one of my best friends. Last year, you guys know if you guys follow me, I mean, I got the letter from my nephew up here. I love my nephew Brody. I love all my nieces and nephews. But last year, I took some fireworks over to Matt's. I just hit up BJ last minute, like this, literally on 4th of July. I was like, "Hey, bro, I want to get some fireworks." He was like, "Head on over. You know where I live. Head on over." I gave him $100. This dude put something together for me, pretty much on the way over there. He had a couple things in mind. He was like, "Hey, this is what this does." And luckily, I have it made it a lot easier because I have a little bit of experience in fireworks because I used to work at different places and I've worked with him, so I knew what he was talking about. So it was a lot easier instead of having to stop and look at YouTube videos. So that made it a lot easier. But this year, like he said, everything that he was putting in my package that I'm getting this year, he literally sent me a YouTube video. Boom, this is everything you're getting. Like, send it to me, playlist, boom. I can watch everything that I have. And the good thing about that is he makes a playlist for you. So if that's what you get on your playlist and you want everything the exact same, you got it for the next year. All he's got to do is look at that and you got it back again. I cannot talk enough how great what he does is. My nephew was literally knocked out after we got done. His face when I lit that first firework was unbelievable. He was just blown away. And then I hadn't even made it back to 65 from my brother's house, and they were already sending me pictures of him being knocked out because he was so tired after having fun. So I can't speak enough on it. Hit him up for fireworks. We're give your name again so they can follow you on Facebook.
Dynamic Display Fireworks. So we go by DDF, dynamic, just like it sounds, DYNAMIC, display, DISPLAY, fireworks. Everybody knows how to spell fireworks.
Absolutely. So hit him up, get your firework fix. so you can blow your neighbor out of the water that's been lighting off fireworks since early June with those crummy little firecrackers and bottle rockets. Go send something that everybody's asking for, how to blow the wheels off of a garbage can or something. Because that's always my favorite part of working at a fireworks store is, hey man, I know you got something in the back. I know you got. No, I don't
Right.
have. I don't have anything in the back that's going to do that. And if I did, I'm not selling it to you because you're obviously running your mouth about certain things. You're not the person I'm selling to.
And it's probably not going to go well, whatever your plan is. Last thing I wanted to leave too, I forgot this earlier, but for the people who don't know, we do professional shows. So we do them for local high schools, churches, events, whatever it may be, right? All the fireworks that I sell personally are handpicked by me myself, and they're all used in our professional displays. So, spoiler alert, some of the pieces that you got earlier this year, Beef, that I've got ready for you, those are some of the same pieces that are in the Beef's Beef package. So I had you in mind when I was picking them out. And essentially, what this $300 show is a show that I would do in my own backyard, and it'd be a blast for everybody. And whole point of this is, once again, whether you buy them from me or somebody else, make sure you're planning, because man, I'm telling you, what you don't want to have happen is what Beef alluded to happening last year. That's most common for everybody. And unfortunately, this year there just isn't the supply of fireworks that you'll be able to get the cream of the crop stuff. You're still going to get stuff. There's still going to be product out there. You're not going to get the best options available. So shop early, get your planning done. If I can help you, I'd love to do so. Call me, text me, email me, check out Dynamic Display Fireworks on Facebook or YouTube, and we'd love to help you out.
If you can't get in touch with him at first, do the same thing that he just said for me. I'll get you in
Yep.
touch with him, or I'll get him to call you back, or get you, or whatever. If you listen to this and you're in this area, hit me up, hit BJ up. Most of the people that know me know BJ because we always hang around each other. So if you can't get in touch with him, get in touch with me. I'll get you in touch with him.
We'll put you in the 2 girls 1 cup folder too, just in case you need it.
Exactly. Well, BJ, I appreciate it, brother. We'll have to start doing this maybe like a once a month thing or something to get you back
Heck yeah.
on and get you back in here, since I mean you're still busy, but it doesn't seem like you're as busy, and this doing it on Zoom makes it a whole lot easier than having to figure out where we're going to meet up and doing all that. By the way, I haven't told you this yet, but I'm gonna have a new background here pretty soon.
Nice.
Bought me a new desk during Prime Day. So you're going to be seeing those shoes here pretty soon up behind me. Something better
Nice.
for the sign. A couple maybe frame jersey, frame pictures and stuff. Maybe some of the memorabilia that you can kind of see over here. So it's going to look a lot different. But I'm pretty pumped for it. So hopefully you guys are ready for that too.
I need to get mine where it's closer to the back than mine. You can't even see what any of my stuff back there is.
I
It
can
just
see
looks like a blur, don't it?
I can see the Jordan picture. I don't really know.
You know who that is? That's Sean May.
Oh no, I was talking about if you move your head back to the other way, there's a Jordan picture right over your right shoulder.
That's the book. Not For the Love of the Game. I forget what that one is, but that's the other one.
Yeah, I mean,
I got. Check this out too. I don't think you had seen this yet.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I almost came in. Not signed. Nope. Just a team replica helmet. That's like the legit. I just got this for my birthday this year. Same with that Sean May poster.
You should have come in wearing it.
So that's exactly what I was for real gonna do and play bass. But I thought, I didn't want to go too much over the edge. Like, quality product, man. You can't get too gimmicky. So. No. But lots of fun stuff. We love that stuff, man. That's why we always talked about having a set, that was all the different stuff that we loved, and we've collected it over the years. I mean, I'm looking at socks. I've got bags. I've got jerseys. I've got the 2016 World Cup. I mean, it's everything you could imagine.
Yeah, I mean, this thing
your
over
Funko
here
Pops are up there too. Did you see those? I don't know where they are.
Oh, I forgot. They must be up a little bit higher. I forgot I got you those. The 2 MJ ones.
Yeah, one's I can see they're already hitting because one's over by where that helmet was, and then the other one I can't even turn my head around. But the other one is like directly behind me.
Oh, I see it now. Yep, there it is.
See it?
I forgot that I ordered a Funko Pop on Amazon back in March. Yeah. I pre-ordered it for June, and I was looking at my Amazon account, and I was like, "What is this thing that it says I'm it's a pending order?" And I was like, "Oh, I forgot I even ordered that." And my Amazon account or app just keeps crashing, of course, because I'm
Wah,
trying to
wah,
look at it.
wah.
But I wanted to show it to you if it'll actually work. I think it's dope because it's some I don't have to get something with LeBron with a Lakers uniform on.
Is it Toon Squad?
It is.
Oh yeah. Man, I love those Funko Pops, man. Those Funko Pops are fun. There's always been something that I've collected ever since I was a young kid. Like I had Micro Machines, I had Pogs. I'm trying to think of what else I had. I mean, action figures and wrestlers. Like I've always been a big collector of stuff. Sports cards, obviously, shoes. I mean, if you can't tell, I've got like 2 or 3 pair back there. Um, so everything you can imagine, it's the thrill of collecting it for me. And man, being an adult has just made that even worse now because you've got, hopefully in theory, a couple more dollars to actually buy it on your own instead of having to sell rock candy to make your own money.
I see the LeBrons back there behind you.
You
What
know,
else you got? You got those Jordans back there on the back right. What I can't even, or your back left. I'm sorry, the blue and white ones.
those are Jordan 18s, classic shoe.
I remember those came out in probably '03 or '04,
Yep.
and I remember because
Oh, 05, I think, but right around there.
Central somehow had them before they came out, and they had all white, and the blue part on those were black.
Oh, leave
Yeah.
it to Central. Central always had fire shoes when I was there too. Yeah, I
Yes.
got some Dunks, I got some Kobe's, I got some Bronze, I got my $50 shoes up front. Uh, Pretty much everything you can imagine. Some Adidas, some Vapor Maxes, KDs. It gets pretty ridiculous.
For sure. Well, bro, I'll let you get off here because I know you want to watch the game. I want to watch the game as well. I'll get
I'm about
this
to.
up. Yeah, I see. I've already eaten. I ate before we came on here. Um, but I don't want to go into something else because I'm really pissed off about Qdoba by my house. That I
Oh
finally
no.
figured they have staffing issues. They haven't been
Yep.
open for like a week and a half. The
Dude,
one
it's the same as ours over here though. Like you'll
really?
go randomly and they'll just be closed. I actually found out about it because I don't know if you're in the New Albany Facebook group. You need to be, if not, because every once in a while there's somebody who just goes on some tirade that it's hilarious. And so this lady was putting on the New Albany Facebook group, is the Charlestown Road Caddoba open? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? Like, look it up online or call them, whatever. She's like, no, my daughter works there and I have to drive her from Charlestown. And sometimes when we drive there, like nobody's even there and they're not like, oh my
So
gosh.
they're not even telling their workers they're not open.
It's the manager. The manager wasn't showing up and they were having staffing issues like you alluded to. And so they would like you didn't know when they were open or not. A place that I've been frequenting recently is what I told you. Uh-oh, your screen's glaring. Oh, now you can see it. Yep. That's exactly what I expected.
Yeah, it's pretty
Man,
sick.
I'll tell you, it's awesome, but I'll tell you right now, these jerseys are so trash compared to the original jerseys. Same
Yeah,
thing with the Team USA jerseys. I don't know
I
if you've
haven't
seen
seen
the
them.
dude. I just saw the shorts today. This offends me deeply because you just saw my helmet. They look like Dallas Cowboys, bro. The shorts look like they're Dallas Cowboy shorts, and that should have been my beef for the day because I got a real problem with US representing those Dallas Cowboys.
Let me see these. Is it is it these?
White and blue with one single star on the side. Yeah, I think
I
so. I only saw
I
the
don't hate them.
shorts. Yeah, the shorts are what I'm talking about. The jersey, obviously, there's only so much you can do. Like you don't go crazy jersey in the Olympics. That's not what
I
you
don't
go
know. Maybe we
standard.
should. Maybe we should. Maybe we
Well,
should.
you better daggone win it if you
That's
do
true.
that.
Yeah, if you go crazy, you better win.
Yeah. And it better be one of those years that there's like another person who's in contention, and then you just blow them out by like 30 and just lay the wood to them.
Yeah, I can't see or I can't find the jerseys. I don't know if those are it or not. But
I didn't see the top. I saw the shorts. That's what I was saying. The shorts were literally fairly plain with that one blue star on the side, and I almost lost my lunch. It was not good.
all right, well, we're for real ending it right here, bro. Enjoy the game. I appreciate you coming on. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.
Thank you, sir.